Hello everyone, it's nice to have you again on our personality discussion program on Ogtv. The program is called Hot Seat. It is a program that plays host to high net worth Nigerians, both at home and in the diaspora, those who can actually own their own in the midst of many. Today we have another of such high net worth individuals in the studio of Hot Seat. We are pleased to have with us the National President of the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NACCIMA, Alhaji Mohammed Abubarkar, MON MNI. Alhaji, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
It's nice to have you with us.
It's my pleasure.
Our guest on the program today, Alhaji Mohammed Abubarkar, MON MNI, is the National President of the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, otherwise known as NACCIMA. He is the chairman of Talamis Group, which is into shipping, haulage, truck and part sales. Our guest on the program today is also into agriculture, real estate and oil milling. He is a chartered accountant by profession and the Sudana Ringim Emirate of Jigawa State. He hails from Jigawa State. Our guest is a delegate member of the National Conference holding in Abuja, and he is a council member of the National Council on Privatization. Again, we welcome Alhaji Mohammed Abubarkar to Hot Seat this moment. It's nice to have you again.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure being here.
Today, Shudeke is also on the program today. Today, we're talking about the nation's economy and all that is related to it as we hold the national president of NACCIMA.
Well, thank you, Shino, and I want to welcome our guests as well too to Ogun State and to also tap from your wealth of experience, because going by your resume, one could say that you've been able to crisscross virtually every aspect of the economy of this nation. So we welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much.
It's quite appropriate for us to set the ball rolling by asking you to attempt a thorough review of the nation's economy, the state of the economy. What is the true position? NACCIMA is the apex economic body in Nigeria. The government says this, you are the players. Let us know what the situation is.
Well, the situation in the economy, there is really remarkable progress. As you have witnessed, we are now the biggest economy in Africa, and from all the statistics are correct. The only problem is distribution of wealth. We are biggest, but the poverty level down under is very high because the wealth of the nation is not properly distributed. When you come to almost all the sectors, there are a lot of improvements. In the power sector, which we believe is the major challenge in this country today, there is the privatization, and power is going back to the private sector. So we expect to see serious development in the near future, as some MOUs have been signed already with foreign companies that intend to build and transmit power in this country. So we are expecting a lot of power providers to come into the country and build the power plant and provide power. I think that is well going on the way. The present industrialization revolution plan done by the federal government is also a welcome development, where we at the private sector sit with the government, develop a program, if well implemented, that will open road for the development of businesses, development of industrialization in this country. And the other major challenge that we are yet to tackle adequately well is the transportation. The transportation system in this country has collapsed. The roads networks are backed. The railway is almost inactive, and without railway it will be very, very, very difficult for one to say that we can transport ourselves in a cheap and affordable manner. So I think the economy is not doing badly, but we really have to do more and more to reach where we intend to reach.
Can I ask you this? Are you into politics? Full-fledged politics?
We cannot say full-fledged politics. All Nigerians is in politics today.
I'm talking about partisan politics.
Partisan politics, yes.
Okay, because I'm tempted to challenge you that some Nigerians who are players in the industry may not agree with you that the nation's economy is indeed recovering.
No, for sure it's recovering. I told you, it is the distribution that is the problem. When you look at the poverty in the society, you will say that the economy is collapsing. But when you look at the actual economic index, you see some improvement in the economy. The naira has been also expensive, has been a little bit stabilized for a very long time. The economic growth have been around 6.57% for some time, which is commendable, while the European economy and other economy are growing for 1-2%. The major problem is the distribution of wealth.
Okay, what is the value of an economy that is growing and distribution of wealth is nothing to write home about?
It's poverty.
And the ultimate beneficiaries of a growing economy.
Is the major problem now. We have to look at the redistribution, and the redistribution is in the industrialization. We make a lot of money from oil, where very few are being employed. So when you put in little and get more, there is tendency for the world to stay around a very small beneficiaries. But when you have something like industry, where you have a chain from the farm that grows the produce that will be processed, to the transporter that brings it to the factory, to the processing power, all the chain, then you will see a lot of people are involved, and the wealth have been created across so many sectors of the economy, and the margin at the end for the industrialists is maybe 10-15%, and then the other 85% is all on input, is all on value, and is all being earned by other people. So that is what we mean. We have to industrialize so that the distribution of wealth will become a little bit better, and then we will see jobs springing up. Then we will see a lot of people coming up. Then we will see the buzz of the middle class.
Okay, Mr. President, sir, with all these challenges that we have chronicled, so where then lies the place of the economy of Nigeria that was recently debased? What were the yardsticks used if we are still having the problem of distribution, transportation problem, and what have you? So what were the yardsticks that were used to the economy?
It is on the gross and the GDPs, and it's purely theoretical, like I said. Look at my example. You spend 10 naira to make 100 naira. So you put only in your pocket 90 naira. But when you spend 90 to make 10, people benefit on the 90 naira. Only 10 goes in your pocket. The extraction of oil is being extracted by mostly foreign companies. You sell the oil, you rely on the royalty. The volume of money coming from there, from the oil, is being serviced by very few foreigners and very few Nigerians. So you are putting very little input for very large chunk of money. So definitely when you go by the GDP, by the money we make, you have high GDP. But the distribution in terms of wealth creation is not there. And that is the problem.
Okay, one can then conclude that it's just a mere political statement that the economy is not really growing in the direction it should be.
No, we say it's an economical indices problem, because in all the global economy is being discussed, and that is the parameters they take to debase the economy. It's the same parameters everywhere, but in our case, the real sector is not performing, and that is why it is creating serious problem to the way people see the situation. There are very few rich people, and there are very few people that have money across, but to go down, you have to industrialize, you have to create an enabling environment for farmers to grow, you have to create jobs, you have to have the money circulating.
Okay, now the role of the private sector cannot be overlooked when you talk about economy of any society, because government alone cannot do it. Private sector comes in to complement government efforts, and also when government implement formulate policies, the major players are those in the private sector that we implement and also carry along every other individual in society. So what has been the role of the private sector in complementing the economy of this nation? Because a lot of people do believe that when you make the money here, you are quick enough to go outside the shores of the nation to invest.
No, I think that is what we are saying. For any investor to invest money, he has to be competitive. An investor needs some level of return. So we make money as long as the business remains viable. You continue to invest in the country. A lot of our Nigerians invest in this country. You see us investing somewhere else where in that field we cannot be competitive anymore. So when you cannot be competitive anymore, you have to invest where you will be competitive or close shop. So that is why with the industrial revolution plan that the government bring in a lot of businessmen so that we can look at what are the problems. How do we become competitive? And this is the theme of this year's conference for NACCIMA. How do we become competitive at home so we can be able to do our business at home and even export or substitute import? You cannot run a factory that produces chewing-gum for 10 naira. Well, you can import chewing-gum from somewhere else directly into Nigeria and sell for 50 kobo. So you can't be competitive because they like you as a Nigerian made. They will not pay 1 naira when they can buy the same for 50 kobo. So we have to be competitive. And if we are talking of export, we have to be competitive in the global market. If we are producing gum Arabic, Sudan is producing gum Arabic, and we have to export to the same market. Definitely the buyers will buy what is cheaper for them. So if we are not competitive, then we close shop. So it's the competitiveness in the system that makes the economy grow and that makes the investors invest money. So that is why we dialogue with the government all the time to discuss issues that help in making us competitive. Issues like power. You cannot run generators 24 hours a day, produce, and think that you can be competitive. We cannot borrow today at between 20 to 30% interest rate and compete with a British man that will borrow for between 3 and 6%. We cannot produce and transport to the port with all the trailers and the expensive mode of transport by road, while others will produce and transport by barges or by train. That is a lot cheaper. So all the competitive elements have to be targeted and have to be treated for Nigeria to become vibrant and for Nigeria to become competitive. Then you see Nigerians investing their money in Nigeria.
As the president of the apex body within the nation's organized private sector, no doubt NACCIMA leads, man follows, and others come. Can you establish the fact that industrialists, people like you who are investors, are taking full advantage of the United States African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is essentially to help grow domestic economies around Africa?
Well, some group are taking that advantage. We have not reached to our potential because of the problems I mentioned. For you to be able to take advantage of whatever you have to export, you have to be competitive. Now, when we said we have to grow produce t-shirts or to send to United States for duty free, first, where are our mills? Are they competitive? Where is the cotton? Are we competitive today in cotton production? Can we compete with those that have grown so far in garment production? Can you compete with those countries that have large chunk of share in garment production like I think in the Asian countries? So we have to get our competitiveness right for us to enjoy whatever trade agreement we have with whatever nation. Because if you don't have it right, your price of an issue will not be competitive even if duty is not being charged. There are situations where if we are allowed to import rice, you import rice, you pay duty, you pay everything, it's still more expensive, it's more cheaper than what is being produced locally, if well treated. Because there is no serious research and development to give the farmer the help to produce large amount of rice in a very small area with very minimum input, so that his cost of production will be very, very, very low, so as to compete with the global players. It doesn't make sense. We produce sugar in this country, but the sugar we import is much cheaper, because they have gone so far in developing their sugar cane. The amount they get per hectare and the cost versus the output they get per hectare is maybe twice, half of what we spent here. So they produce maybe, let's say, for example, 80 to 100 tons, tons per hectare. You produce here, for example, 50 tons. Then you produce half. The sucrose content in their sugar is being modified and being increased, so that it will give you maybe 16-17% sucrose content in their own sugar. The extract that to extract to make the sugar. And well, what we have here will give you only 11. So how can you compete in that environment? They have developed seed that is smut resistant, disease resistant, selective herbicide that they don't need to go helter-skelter farming the land. They just spray the herbicide. All things are being controlled. The farmers will deliver the sugar cane for very cheap money and still smile and make profit. So how do you compete?
Now, Mr. President, there has been sustainable call for the development of the nation's non-oil sector. I'm sure NACCIMA is not sitting on the fence. What are your own interventions as encouraging the government to be committed thoroughly to the development of the non-oil sector?
We do, and I think that is the whole idea of the Industrial Revolution plan of the federal government. And I'm sure they have been listening to some level, because when you look at the cement intervention, a lot has happened in the cement production in this country, and that helped to substitute import of cement. We also see the development of juice in this country. The banning of importation of juice has forced us to buy our locally produced juice that can match with almost all what has been produced nationwide. So sector by sector, we are targeting those issues, and we are looking at all those opportunities that we have comparative advantage in Nigeria and start with them. So that was why in cement production we have almost all the raw materials. What we need is a bigger place so that we can maximize in our economic of scale, and that has been achieved. In juice production we start from concentrate to juice, and now we are moving from trees, from plantations to juice. There is new development on sugar to sugar cane that has been started now, that will include all the issues I discussed: the research, the development on the sugar, the investment on the sugar estate, and how we will create the factory to be competitive internationally. So we are looking at specific aspects of the economy, develop them where we believe we will have comparative advantage, and do it big and mighty, so that we will develop the non-oil export.
Okay, Mr. President, the world over, the power sector drives the economy, and you are a member of the Privatization Committee in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria has made an attempt to privatize the power sector, not fully yet, but gradually we are getting there. What is your submission as to the privatization exercise being undertaken in Nigeria? Is that the way out that could really assist the economy to grow in the right direction?
Well, I think it's not only the privatization, but we said the deregulation. Okay. When government allow businessmen to build power plants and sell power, then is the major development, because then